Good morning. May I introduce myself? My name is Tâm. I'm from English Department of Yutang University. Today we have studied reading number 4. Reading number 4 has 4 units. The first unit we talk about the language and learning. The second language we talk about the gender and relationship. The third unit we talk about the mind, and the last we talk about the breakthroughs. Now today we have to go to the first unit, unit number 1. Now in unit number 1 we have to study about the language and learning. Now look at the picture in your book. You have to discuss these questions. Now the first question is what happened in the photo. The second question is why good communication important for people in the chat. Number 3, what challenges are faced by the people when they speak different languages. Now 5 minutes for you to discuss with your friends. Okay. Now we have to move to the next part of unit number 1. When we study reading, you have to know the skill of reading. We have the strategies of the reading skill. The topic today we have to study is English as a universal language. Now before we read, we have to get some words relating to the topic, language as a universal language. Now please look at your book and recognize the new words. Now the first, the universal. Now read the sentence and you have to pay attention to the hint in the sentence. Universal, what does it mean? Beautiful, difficult, global, or political. Universal means global. Now the second, the word status. What does status mean? Assistance, enjoyment, problem, rejection. The status means assistance. It means that the conditions or the usage or the rank of the person in the society. Now number 3, dialects. What does it mean? A word, a dialogue, list of rules, or the way of speaking. Dialects means ways of speaking. Now number 4. What does it mean was expressed? Restricted, extended, regional, or popular. The word was expressed means extended. Number 4. Supplementing. Proving its superiority over, taking the place of, being used in addition to, being used exclusive by. So the meanings of the word supplementing means being used in addition to. Number 6, prevails. What does it mean? Affects, preserves, continues, or predominates. The word prevails means predominates. Number 7, maritime. What does it mean? Sea, air, ground, or rail. Maritime means sea. Number 8. What does the word tongues mean? Challenge, figure, trace, or language. Tongue means language. Now you have to use the new words in your sentence. Make some sentences with the new words. Okay, now we have to go to the next part. The first part of unit number 1. We have to read the text English as a universal language. After reading the text, we have to discuss something relating to the text. And right now, I will ask you, and you have to find out the information in the book to answer my questions. Now, number 1, what is the number of English speakers in the world? This is the answer. Now the second, What is the number of Chinese studying English? Number 3. What is the number of computers in the world? Number 4. What is the percentage of scientific paper published first in English? Number 5. What is the number of different languages spoken in India? Number 6. What is the number of African countries in English has official and semi-official status? Is it clear for you? Yes, okay. Now that's all for the first scanning information. Now we have to go to the next part in your book. Now today I want you to make a conversation with your friends, talk about the English as the universal language. Now in your book there are 7 questions. You have to discuss and find out the answer. Now number 1, why do authors feel that English is more universal than Chinese? Now you have to find out information. Now this is the suggestions answer. Because English has more second language speaker, more students, it is more widespread geographically, and it is more widely used in business, technologies and science, and as in lingua franca. Now question number 2. Where English used as the more common second language? Now this is the suggested answer. It is in India and more than 20 African nations. Now question number 3. In your opinion, why do people in many parts of the world study English? So this is maybe it is very easy for you to answer, and you can answer it freely. Depends on your opinion. Now question number 4. In what situation can you imagine that knowledge of English could mean the difference between life and death? It means that when you know English, you can survive in the society. If you don't know English, maybe you get some trouble in the society, because you have to use English in order to find out some information in the society. When you go to the country use English, so you have to know English in order to survive in that area. Now question number 5. How has technology have to make English popular? I think computers are generally designed and supported in English. So you can use these equipments or the devices to study English. Maybe it's on the websites, maybe it's on the programs on the TV. So a lot of equipments you can use to study English. Now number 6. Can you explain the meanings of the word lingua franca in the selection? Now lingua franca is a language that used as the common language to non-native speakers of that language. It means that they use English as the language to communicate, and they use their native language to talk to the people in their area. So they call a lingua franca. Now question number 8. What English term and phrase are common in your culture? A lot appear in the society. You can see it on the street, you can see it on the signs along the street, or maybe in the public area. For example, turn right, turn left, thanks, sorry, morning or good night. It is used in the society, the term of the English. Now that's all for the part of make a conversation. And now you have to go to the next part. Now open your book and you look at the part number 5, understanding the acronym and abbreviation. Now acronym and abbreviation, what does it mean? Maybe the short form of the word. You can use the full word, you have to use the short. Now in the test, they give you some abbreviation and you have to find out the full form of it. Now, in order to use it correctly, you have to check in the dictionary and you have to discuss with your friends. Now, this is a suggested answer. ABC means American or Australian Broadcasting Company. That is the full form of ABC. Now, the second, BBC. This is the British Broadcasting Corporation. Number 3, what does CBC stand for? CBC stands for Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Number 4, what is UNESCO? UNESCO is the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Number 5, what is NATO? NATO is North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now, number 6, what is NAFTA? NAFTA is the North American Free Trade. Now, number 7, ETC. What does it mean? ETC means etc. etc. It means that, for example, you give some examination example. So you use the short form of the word etc. Now, number 8, radar. What does radar mean? Radar means radio detecting and ranging. Now, number 9, what is the full form of Interpol? Interpol is International Police. Now, number 10, what is the full form of ASAP? ASAP means as soon as possible. Now, number 11, CD. What is the full form of the CD? CD means the Campbell and Certificate of Deposit. Now, number 11, what is the ESL stand for? ESL stand for the word English as the second language. And the last word, TOEFL. What does it mean? What is the full form of the TOEFL? TOEFL is the test of English as a foreign language. Now, this is the short form of or the abbreviations of some words you can understand and can use in your speaking or writing. Now, try to find out the meanings of the words in the dictionary. That's all. And now we have to move on to the next part. You have to read in the map. Now look at the map in your book. You have to pay attention to the color in the map, the dark or maybe the black. And you have to discuss about the color in the map. The color in the map has some meaning. And now please look at the map. You have to pay attention to the color, the dark color and the light color. Now please answer my questions. What the shade parts of the map indicate? If you look at the map, you can understand that the shade part, it means that the black color indicates the country which speak English a lot. So we call English-speaking country. Now the second question is, what is the difference between two types of shading? Two color. I think that the dark color or the dark shading indicates countries where English is spoken as the first language, and the light shading indicates countries where English is spoken as the second language. So that is the difference between the color in the map. Now number 3, on what country is English spoken as the mother tongues in some countries? A lot of, but these countries very familiar with the English. Now I think that the countries can use English is North America, Europe, Australia. Now, number 4, on what countries is English spoken as the second language? It is Africa, Asia, South America. And the last questions, you have to discuss with your friends what of the two group language. Depends on this information, you can know that English used a lot of in the world in order to communicate, in order to do business, in order to make relationship with the other people in the world. Now we have to move on to the next part. Now the next part of unit number 1 is the reading skill and strategy. Now you have to open your book, page number 14. English as the second language in the world, but some countries use English to communicate. Especially in the test, we have to talk about the Mongolian. The Mongolian learn English to say progress in English. Now look at the title. Can you understand the contents of the test? I think Mongolian learn to say progress in English means that people use English, study English a lot in order to be familiar with English, in order to use English a lot in their country. Mongolian know English a little, so right now they have to try their best to make a progress in learning English. Now before we read the test, now please talk about the new words in the test. A lot of words in the test very new for you, so you have to pay attention to the hint of the word and guess the meanings of the word. Now the first, number 1, the word razor tool. What does it mean? Razor tool. You have to divide the words into 2 parts, razor and tool. Razor is an instrument that men and women use to shave the hair, and the tool is mean that the parts of the parts in the mouth of your body. So can you compile the 2 words razor tool to find out the meanings of the word whisker of hair, which very sharp teeth, or that scream quickly? Now I think razor tooth means with very sharp teeth. It means that you can use the image of the razor to understand the meanings of the word razor tooth, very sharp teeth. Now the second word, dude. Now look at the hint. Dude is an English slang word used to talk to the male friend. So in this sentence, common people in rural Mongolia do not do. It means that do not know English perfectly at that time, because it is very new. English new in this country, so they have to make some difficulty. They don't use English regularly, so that is not common in their country. Mongolians do not know English perfectly at this time. Now number 3. Now look at the sentence. What does it mean? Has not been without a bum. First of all, you have to understand the word bum. Bum, what does it mean? Bum is mean that something you hit, something you face on the road. So the words Mongolian has not been without its bum mean they meet some difficulty when they study English. So the sentence you can use the word somewhat difficult. Now number 4. Look at question number 4. Now the word joint venture. Now look at the hint. You can understand the word joint. Joint means that you can add 2 things together, and you can guess the meanings of the word joint venture. So the meanings of the sentence Mongolian American joint venture is a Finnish English. English what? English people from whole country participate. It means that people from the 2 countries join together and they work together. It means that joint venture. Now number 5, across the board. What does it mean? Now look at the hint. A board is often used to list numbers such as the score. And right now you use the word across the board. It means that the arrival of foreigner to Mongolia has increased because the word across full the board. So you use the word increase. Now number 6, the word leisure fair stand. What does it mean, leisure fair stand? Now look at the hint. It's an expression coming from French language. That means to leave alone, leave alone. So look at the sentence. Belgium's opinion of the Mongolian interest in English is that this is no problem for Belgium. Leave alone, it means that no problem. It's easy for the Mongolian. Now question number 7. The word bum, what does it mean in this situation? Bum is an example. Is something that is blowed in the society. So you can guess the word bum in this situation. It means that Chinese language study are doing very well. It means that increase very well. They use a lot in their society. So Chinese language studies doing very well. Now number 8, shortcut. Do you know the word shortcut? I think that you know this word. Look at the hint. You can guess the meaning of the word shortcut. Yes, it is the fast way for a country to develop. It is the short distance to do something very fast. Now question number 9, outsourcing. What does it mean, outsourcing? Now look at the hint. Outsourcing is mean that you have to understand the meanings of the word in 2 parts, out and sourcing. So right now you can guess the meanings of the word outsourcing. It is the using people in one country at the source of the workers for the company in other country. Now that's all for the new words of the reading test. And right now you have 15 minutes to read the test. Mongolian learn English, learn to say progress in English. Try to read and underline the different words, and you can ask later. Now you have to move to the vocabulary. Now look at the vocabularies on the screen, and you can see that. The first, you have to practice the pronunciation. And the second, the meanings in English. And after that, you guess the meanings of the word. Now we have to come back to the meaning of the words. Now policy. Can you guess the meanings of the word policy? It is chính sách. Okay. Now the second word, intensive. What does it mean? Look at the hint, look at the definition. It means that căng thẳng, làm việc rất là nhiều trong một thời gian ngắn. Primary, what does it mean? Cơ bản. Main, most important, basic, it means cơ bản. Now the next, ethic, what does it mean? Now look at the definition and you get the meanings of the word ethic. It means that ethics means các dân tộc. Immersion, what does it mean? The state of being completely involved in something. Quan tâm đến. Now, the next word, bilingual. What does it mean, bilingual? It is the person who can speak 2 languages equally well. It means that song ngữ. Now that's all for the new words in the test, and right now you have to go to the next part in order to check your understanding after reading the test. Now these the words I have just explained, and right now use the word to fill in the gap. Now please don't look at your book, but look at the screen and guess the word. Now read the test and fill in the gaps. Now number one, what word do you use? Okay, the words policy, national policy, đó là chính sách của quốc gia. Now the second word, yes, okay, the primary foreign language, English, the primary foreign language, tức là ngôn ngữ nước ngoài mà đầu tiên người ta học. Now number three, what does it mean in this situation? The Prime Minister is looking as a model. A model, what does it mean? It means that he do something first and the other persons can use it as the example. Now number four, establish. What does it mean? It means that there is English village are being established. It means that they built a lot of school or a lot of club in their area in order to have the students to study English. Now number five, passport stands for intensive with. Now number six, English language immersion, and the seven, neutral link for nation speak along the athletic line. Now the next part. Number nine, what does it mean in this situation? Prime Minister, okay, shocked. Number 10, the word bilingual, okay. Number 11, replace Russian. English would replace Russian, okay. Now the last one, the president, of course. Now, it means that you have finished the reading the test in order to check your understanding from the reading, and right now you have to move to the next part of the reading. Very difficult for you in this part, the new words in the reading. So you have to guess the meaning by matching the first column to the second column. Now look at the board. She recited carefully. What does it mean? What can you match? It means the said or spoke loud. It means that the word recited. Now the second, stumped by the smaller worry looking fish. Stumped, what does it mean? It is the confuse a puzzle. Confuse a puzzle. It means that the fish makes she worry, makes she confused when she look at the fish. Now number three, hong. What does it mean? Hong, it means that you have to learn well, or you make perfect in your studying. You study a lot of time, day by day, time by time. What does it mean in Vietnamese? Hong, tức là các anh chị mài dũa kinh sách, đọc lại nhiều lần hong. Now number four, fueled partially by an affinities for Britain and United States. Fuel means push forward, promoting. It means that you have to add your energy to make you improve in learning English. So push forward or promoting. Now the next, number five, impart. What does it mean? Impart means to start or begin. The government has impact. It means that the government began to do something for their country with the new program on English. Now number six, tradition. What does it mean, tradition? Tradition means that throw away, or maybe it's a discard. It means that you don't use that anymore. You can use the word tradition là vứt bỏ, loại bỏ ra. Now the next word. Number 7. What can you match? Fine-tune. The Prime Minister fine-tuned his program. In this sentence, you have to use the maximum improvement. It means that he tried to improve, but in a little. So they use the word fine-tune his program. Now number 8, catch up. Catch up with the private sector means become equal, coming closer. It means that you make something near to you. What does it mean in Vietnamese? It is đuổi kịp, bắt kịp. Now the next, number 9, is in the way. Is in the way. It means that you make something easy for you to do. So this is the meaning of the word is in the way, making things easier to do. Now number 10, penetrating. What does it mean, penetrating? Penetrate means to entering, making its way into. What does it mean in Vietnamese? Maybe it's thâm nhập vào. Nhập vào. English is penetrates urban banter. Tức là tiếng Anh đang thâm nhập vào, đang du nhập vào trong cái đất nước này. Now the last one, spin. What does it mean, spin? Spin is means tells of a narrate. Narrate, what does it mean? You tell a story. You make someone to understand the story. It means narrate, tell, and that is the meaning of the word spins. Now, after reading the word, the text, and you know some new words, right now you have to focus on the word. Now, again, in the book, you have to read the text carefully and use the correct words to fill in the gaps. Now, these are the new words: debate, dominate, generate, impose, side, design, emerging, go, primary, and virtual. Now, can you understand this word? Now, discuss. What word you can't understand, please ask. Now, you have to use this word to fill in the gap. Now, look at paragraph A and B. There are 5 gaps you have to fill. Remember the word. Now, number 1, what can you use in the first gap? You have to read the text. European Union, where English is emerging as the dominant language. Dominant language, what does it mean? It means that this is the best language they use. They use more in the country. Có nghĩa là ngôn ngữ thống trị. Now, paragraph B. What do you use in gap number 3? Okay, the goal is to make that nation. It means that your purpose, the aims to make. Now, number 4. 50 million people bilingual in English within a generation. Within a generation, it means that the same relationship in a family. It means that father, grandfather, the second, and the next is the children. It means that the generation in the family, tức là thế hệ trong vòng một thế hệ của một gia đình. Now the last one is that achieve virtual bilingualism in English. Achieve, tức là tới bây giờ thì những nước này đã đạt được cái chủ nghĩa là bilingual, là song ngữ ở nước Anh. Now the next, paragraph C. Nothing for paragraph C, but you have to read in order to understand. Now D. There are 2 gaps in paragraph D. For Mongolian still. Can you remember? Okay. Debating, where the 2 traditions, the Greek alphabet. Debate, it means that you have to find in order to make a decision what to keep and what to tradition, what to throw away. Tức là người ta đang tranh đấu để cả nào giữ, cả nào tiếp tục về cái ngôn ngữ, về cái chữ viết, Cyrillic alphabet. Now the last sentence is imposed by Stalin in 1945. It means that this language is imposed by Stalin. So they are debating whether to use this alphabet or not. So you have to understand paragraph D. Now look at paragraph E. There are 3 gaps. Can you remember the word to fill the gaps? Now number 8, what word do you use? Website. Very easy for you to use the word website. Mongolian website. Now the next, number 9, drawing up a national curriculum. Designed. Drawing up a national curriculum designed to make English replace. It means that the people in this country design a curriculum, a program to replace Russian. Tức là người ta thiết kế ra một chương trình để mà thay thế tiếng Nga. So they use the proxy in this national curriculum which were designed. They use the short form of relative clause. And the next, you have to use the words in primary foreign language taught here. Cái ngôn ngữ đầu tiên người ta dạy ở đây. Now taught, it is the past participle of the foreign language. It means that it is the admitted relative clause. Foreign language which were taught here. Tức là thử ngôn ngữ, cái loại ngôn ngữ mà được dạy ở đây. Now please, after you read, you have to discuss the text. Now the first, I want you to discuss with your friends about the questions on page number 22, box number 5. After discussing, now please these the suggested answer. Now number 1. Why they introduce career here? Because they say that in this country they are using English as the second language, and Korea is English villages. Some important architectures and English-speaking residents are being set up for immersion in English education. It means that they developing or they improve some English programs in their country. Now the second question. Besides Korean, Iran, Iraq, and Kurdish and Chile, they use English as a second language. So this is the reason why the country use English as a second language. Now question number 2. Why Mongolian use to learn more than one language? They use more than one language because English overtaking Russian as the official second language. A lot of countries come here in the old times and they use more than 2 languages. Now the next, number 3. Why do many Mongolians want to learn English? Because English will usher in economic prosperity. There will be a national curriculum to teach English developed by the Ministries of Education. So the prime ministers have some program to teach English in this country. And the next, you have to go to the last part of unit number 1. It means that unit you have to review what you study in the unit, and you try to read some questions related to the lesson, and you have to discuss. Now, the first question I want you to talk about the education. What are the most important qualities of a good teacher? It is a free question. You can answer, depends on your opinion. Now, what qualities is very important for the teacher? Now, the second, what are the worst qualities that a teacher could have? It means that teacher don't have what quality. it's not good for a teacher? And please tell me the reason why. Number 3, how do you like your class to be structured? What does it mean in this situation? It means that what kind of the class do you want to study in a small class, in a large class, with a lot of students, or just a few students in the class? This is the to be structured, tức là cấu trúc của lớp học. Các anh chị thích kiểu gì? Now the next, number 4, which of the following you have to pay attention to the questions. What do you need in your course? The lecture, discussion, debate, movie, or video? What do you need in your course? So have to choose. And please, after choosing, you have to explain the reason why you choose these. The next, the last question you have to discuss is the best class you have ever taken. It means that you have studied a lot of in your life, and what class make you have the good memory. So you have to take time to talk and discuss with your friends. After discussing with your friends, now you have to learn the new words from the lesson and try to use the new words in your sentence. Make as many sentences as possible. Why I want you to make some sentences? Because when making a lot of sentences, you are very confident in using English, and you can express your opinion easily with the new words. If you have some problem in making sentences, please tell me or maybe discuss with your friends in the class. That's all for the first part of the course, unit number 1. I think that you will review the lesson before you go to the next unit. That's all. Thank you very much for listening.